I'm Scott Kerr, and you're listening to Facing the Giants, a podcast where I speak to today's luxury entrepreneurs about taking on the Goliaths of the industry. My guest today is Nathalie Dionne, founder and creative director of Thalie Paris, a Paris-based eco-design luxury handbag brand whose products are made of upcycled fine leathers and innovative materials like cactus and salmon. Founded in the midst of a pandemic, Thalie reinvents the code of the new bourgeoisie and is conceived as a brand oriented towards sustainability in every phase of its design, production, and distribution. Nathalie, who previously worked for years in the luxury and advertising industries and is passionate about textile innovation, takes a very holistic approach to making her products sustainable and as close as possible to the goal of a circular economy. Her work has been featured in Elle, Vogue, Madame Figaro, Cosmopolitan, Harper's Bazaar, and others. Welcome, Nathalie.
Hi, Scott.
Thank you so much for joining me on Facing the Giants, the first show.
Well, my pleasure. Happy to be here.
I'm curious, where did you get the name Thalie for the name of the brand?
So basically, it was back in March 2020. It was our first lockdown in Paris, and I was looking for a brand name. I knew I wanted to launch this brand a couple of months earlier, but I didn't have my mind set on a name. And I scribbled a couple of names on a piece of paper, and then had my Milan partner look at it. And Thalie was one of the name I had written down because my father used to call me Thalie from Natalie, right?
Yes.
An endearing nickname.
Yes.
And so I looked into, I Googled the name Thalie, and then I found the origin of the name. And I discovered a very pretty story. Thalie was the eighth daughter of Zeus, and the word Thalie in ancient Greek means Thaleia, and it's the flourishing. So Thalie was actually a muse by whom nature flourished, and she brought beauty to the world. And I found a lot of sculptures and paintings also from Thalie from the Renaissance period, and you can actually find in the Three Graces the representation of Thalie, which later became one of the three graces, if you I've seen some of those paintings around museums worldwide.
Yeah.
So, and then it was a funny story because the story was getting more and more interesting about this Thalie.
As you were peeling off more layers.
Exactly. And so back in Paris in March 2020, we couldn't go out more than a kilometer and for an hour daily on a daily walk. So I live in Paris 16th area, which is really rich in heritage and beautiful architecture. It's a very quiet neighborhood. And I found there was this beautiful bas-relief of 1938 from Janot, the French sculptor, at the Palais de Tokyo, which is a short walk from my home. And it said on this bas-relief, Thalie was written in big as Janot had sculpted a representation of the children of Zeus, and Thalie was one of the muse. And so it was like, wow.
This was meant to be.
It was meant to be, exactly. So this is how the name Thalie came about, and we all loved it, of course.
Can you talk a little bit about your background prior to launching Thalie Paris?
Sure. So my background, I have been working in the fashion industry for about now close to 20 years. I was a creative director for global fashion brands. I'm formally trained as a fashion designer, although I have mainly worked as a creative team manager, and I was always pretty much hands-on. I have, over the past 7 years, consulted with luxury brands, and more specifically since 2014 in the development of sustainable ready-to-wear collection, when the market was shifting to more eco-conscious collections. And I have been based in Paris since 2002, although I was also working for a couple of years as an expat. I had the pleasure to experience working in Shanghai for 1 year. I was also based for a little while in Rio de Janeiro. Yeah, and then a couple of months. Also, I lived in LA, but it's always very interesting to experience fashion from a different perspective in a different country.
So, what inspired you to launch a sustainable luxury handbag brand? How did that whole thing come about? What problem did you see in the luxury marketplace that wasn't being served?
Well, as I said, I mean, I had worked on the development of ready-to-wear collection, but I could see that there was very little offer for luxury handbags. And back in 2019, I had done a consulting mission for a large French group, and they wanted to actually develop a collection of recycled leather handbags. So we launched one of those, and we also tested bags made of Pinatex. And I found that the quality of the hand feel was not as elevated as what you would expect from a luxury handbag. So I had that desire already. And then I came across two very, very innovative material that were just launching towards the end of 2019. So Thalie was actually the first brand in the world to present bags made of two very innovative materials. And one of them is the Cactus alter leather, and then the other one is the recycled salmon leather.
And when you were designing your collection, who did you think about who your audience was? Was it you?
Well, I guess you always design what you love. So I guess you're your number one client.
Right.
But I could see also I mean, having lived abroad and having spent most of my career in Paris, I could see there was this fascination for Parisians and also like international clientele really loving what Paris means as a whole for fashion. So I really imagined that my collection would be liked by women of the world, maybe that had experience buying from luxury brands in the past and perhaps were looking for something different. I could also imagine women or men actually who would be in tune with sustainable development goals and would be interested in true craftsmanship related to working with innovative materials. And so I imagine my bags to be the target market in terms of age group. I mean, could be like, if we're talking by persona, would be more like 28 to 40.
Mhm.
But I mean, we have customers of any age, so it's difficult to precisely define that audience. I would say it's a worldwide audience. We have shipped bags in Australia, in the UK, in the USA, in Norway, Italy, France. So I would imagine our audience is pretty much international.
Are they looking to move away from animal leather, or are they just looking to mix it up? What are you finding?
I see there's I mean, very important segment of the market moving towards vegan bags. Although having been, I mean, interviewing a lot of people in the fashion industry, especially related to luxury leather goods, I think there's fundamental questions one need to ask himself about the durability of those materials. So, and I really didn't want to be like judging whether it's a vegan or a non-vegan bag, because I think there are still people eating meat and we still need to use those precious materials. I would also say that so far the classic leather has not yet been replaced in terms of quality and hand feel. Although with the market moving more towards sustainability, there might be in the future scarcity of skins available, and there's other issues related to chrome tanning, which needed urgently to be taken care of. And there are also like innovative materials which require less water if you are going to like vegetable dyes or more natural dyes. And so it's really like a balance between all of those options without judgment. And I think there are many options to sustainability. There's a lot of greenwashing as well. And this is where we wanted to play a part in leading the path toward true sustainability and innovation.
The way you speak about your brand, you say, we invite women of the world to feel Parisian. How does Thalie do that?
So as I said before, like I could imagine like an international clientele, really in tune with what it represents to live in Paris or to be Parisian. And I feel like I mean, as a child, I was always growing up looking at like Catherine Deneuve or Inès de la Fressange, and for me, like those would represent like the perfect French women. They were elegant, they had poise, they were discreet. And so I was like really fascinated by that image of the Parisian women that you see in the like luxury campaigns, even
Right.
from the 80s and 90s.
And that inspired
And
your design.
exactly. So basically, I wanted to be able to offer a bit of a glimpse of that lifestyle, which I now live because I live in Paris for so many years now. And you do have daily needs if you're taking the metro, walking out, going to a cocktail, you're going to see an expo, you're traveling. So I wanted to take all of those elements on my checklist of what is a perfect Thalie bag and what is a perfect sustainable bag, because you want to have a bag that you can also keep for long, or you can at least resell it onto a second-hand platform later on. I imagine all of my bags to be either recycled or upcycled as first materials. And then I wanted them to be light, to be as well like very sensual, practical. So there's a relation to the materials, which is very important for me. I use very luxurious materials, whether they are upcycled lambskin, Napa lambskin from luxury, like dormant stock of the luxury industry, or even if we talk about the recycled salmon leathers that have beautiful scales and very rich colors.
Yeah, so let's talk about your collections while we're on it. So you have right now 3 collections, right? You have the Sushi Collection, the Cactus Collection, and the Upcycled Collection. Briefly talk about each of those and how you discovered those materials as a replacement for animal leather.
So when we first launched the collection, it was over the period of May 2020. So basically, we had our first samples made of cactus, some made of salmon, and some were upcycled. And I mean, as a first brand launching, I wanted to test a couple of different shapes, different material, get some feedback as well before investing further into producing collections. I believe this is also a process where we actually we design, we use 3D design, we pre-test on Instagram our styles, and we get pre-orders, and only the styles that are making it to these 3 steps are being produced. And so when I first discovered the cactus leather, as I said before, it was end of 2019. And so I have approached these manufacturers from Mexico. So the material was very, very exciting. And I have to say, by far, having tested a couple of different options, cactus leather or the cactus material was one of the most pleasant and durable I have felt. And so we needed to test also its resistance and durability. And as per the salmon leather, this one is a very innovative project that was launched by 3 French engineers based in Lyon. And they wanted to collect the salmon skins from sushi restaurants. And so this is how they got started. And we were the first brand to actually commercialize handbags made of these small skins.
These discarded skins from the sushi restaurants?
Yes, that's correct. So they keep the salmon skins in the refrigerated, and then they are sent to the tannery in Lyon, and they go through a regular process of vegetable tanning as you would do for regular animal leather.
Right.
And comes out of it like very beautiful skins, which are called the squamalux, and they have amazing scales and very beautiful colors. And I usually I don't do the whole bag in this salmon leather because, first of all, the salmon is very thin. And so you can only use it on like very delicate parts or in patchwork, which I made I made it as a signature for Thalie bag. So you can see there's a triangular patchwork design on the salmon collection.
What are the benefits of cactus and salmon versus animal leather, besides not being animal leather?
So the benefit of using cactus, I would say primarily is the little use of water it requires. So if you're looking at the sustainability criterias for choosing materials, of course, there's consumption of water, and then there would be the carbon footprint. And then there would be also not ended up in landfills. So that those would be the components we would be looking at. And of course, durability, because if it's to do vegan bags that you need to discard after a season because they're all cracked, because you've been traveling to Canada and it's too cold and it cracks your PU,
Right.
it's certainly not sustainable. So this is very important, the durability of materials. So with cactus, we found all of those components. We're just not sure about the carbon footprint because we have to import at the moment this material from Mexico. So nothing is perfect.
So what challenges come up during the process?
Well, for cactus, we don't have any particular problems. With the cactus, we import it. So we are like, our design studio is based in Paris. Then we source our materials and we buy them and we ship them to our factories that make the handbags in France or in Italy mainly. And the salmon leather, actually the salmon program, which we call the Sushi Collection. It's
Right.
just easier
I
to
love the name.
remember.
I just love the name.
Yeah, the Sushi Collection is entirely manufactured in France. So when we looked at the carbon footprint, we wanted the materials to be local, transformation process to be local, and manufacturing is local as well. So everything is made in France. This is a perfect example of circular economy.
Right.
So these food waste going back into circulation and being transformed into beautiful luxury handbags made in France.
I would imagine the hurdle is to make sure that this product is as good or better than an animal leather one and that it lasts as long and has the same sensual pleasure in its touch and look. So, in terms of touch and maintenance, what are the discernible differences to animal leather?
So I would say for the cactus leather, well, first of all, the difference, I mean, it definitely doesn't smell
Doesn't
like
prick you, and it
leather.
doesn't prick your finger.
No. That's true. It's, I mean, the finishings there's a few finishings, sorry, available. So you can have like more of a smooth texture or maybe like a pebble texture. So we experience three different finishes on our first collection. And for the salmon leather, basically it's the same. I mean, there's a bit more flexibility in terms of the salmon. The material is not transformed itself, right? It's only, there's a tanning process that goes after the salmon skin is collected, so it can be preserved and colored. So there's several steps which I could describe, but not in precise details. The salmon skin is washed and then dried and then dyed, and then there's a finishing coating, and everything is done by hand at the moment with this marine tannery in France. So it's actually quite a long process. I mean, because it's done by hand. So in terms of
Right.
volume, it's still a little bit limited.
Is it scalable? Is cactus and salmon leather scalable? I know, with salmon,
So
right,
that's
as
a
long
very
as there are
good.
sushi restaurants, there's going to be,
Exactly.
right, there's going to
No,
be,
exactly. Exactly. So for the cactus leather, it's totally scalable. The only thing at the moment, the material is still quite expensive. So I would say when you're thinking of scalability, you would think of even reaching the mass market.
Mhm,
But I think the price point makes it a bit tricky at the moment.
right.
Perhaps in the future, there can be more cactus growing and cactus being transformed into alternative to leather. As per the salmon, I would say this is totally scalable, and we should actually be an example to the world in terms of recuperating these salmon skins and making them into beautiful accessories. So potentially it's a totally new material that we haven't really used. Although salmon leather was known to be used even in the Inuit population, northern Canada.
Mhm.
I believe salmon has been also used in China, but the fact that it's collected from the sushi restaurants, I think this is pretty much an innovation.
And vegan leather made from renewable mushroom leather is becoming a really hot commodity for fashion brands. Some designers like Stella McCartney are using mushrooms
Mhm.
as this eco alternative to leather. So, why do you think it's important for us to use materials that serve more than one purpose?
Well, I mean, I think there's maybe 2 points to be addressed. I mean, the mushroom leather, I think, is certainly very, very interesting. I have also contacted those that make the material in the US.
Right,
Which I believe is Michael Works.
right, right.
And there's a conglomerate big supportive of this operation at the moment. We wanted to test this material because also we feel that it's very interesting that it's entirely like grown in lab, but the material is not yet available. So my feeling is maybe it's an innovation that is not yet ready to be released on the global market, and because it takes some time to grow
Mhm.
the new material in the labs, I'm not sure that this will be ready by end of this year. Yeah, I think it's interesting to stay alert, and it's an
Right.
exciting time for designers as there are all these new materials coming to the market.
And what do you think the fashion and luxury industry should be doing to ensure customers can make conscious shopping decisions?
I think I mean, it mainly goes by educating the clientele, telling them about the options. Of course, having the potential to demonstrate in store in a physical way, the touch and feel of this material is very important. And then I think more and more people are sensitive to not over consuming. I mean, meat. So this is the number one point: is will we have as much meat in the future, as world population now seem to be looking at feeding themselves with maybe other types of proteins. And I know for a fact that marine I mean, salmon farms are actually being opened and worldwide looking at the consumption of salmon potentially as a quality protein,
Mhm.
when the animal meat, classic animal meat, will have perhaps diminished. These are definitely options that we should be looking at.
So, as an entrepreneur, building a startup involves navigating many peaks and valleys with some hard lessons along the way. What's one hard lesson you've learned in your career that you've applied to the way you approach things at Thalie?
Well, I have in my career worked for different brands. So I've always wanted to do something like more meaningful, I would say. So one of the lesson I've learned is don't waste time doing things that you don't like to do and that are not going along with your like life objectives.
Hmm.
Because the quicker you accelerate on following your own intuition, the better result you get, feeling that you are going somewhere in your career.
Well,
So I would say that's probably one of the lesson learned. I mean, I didn't have any hard lesson. I've had pretty positive experience of my career in the fashion industry, and I've loved every challenge. It's been a really fun ride in the past 20 years working for global brands, and with the fast pace, the traveling and the big teams to manage. And sometimes collections work, sometimes they don't. I mean, but I have taken and compiled a bit of the best of all the brands I have been able to work with, and I'm applying these strategies now to launching Thalie.
Yeah. So what is your vision for Thalie and moving forward?
So obviously, for Thalie, I mean, I would love to see the brand featured in top stores, and to also develop the online business. I would also recommend consumers to shop moderately at Thalie, only buy the styles they love. And it's kind of contradictory, because at the same time you're launching a business, so you do want to be sustainable, but at the same time you want the business to be sustainable and attractive for investors. So I think it's to find a balance for both. And I could see that Thalie could be like one of the new pioneering brand in sustainable luxury made in France. I think we haven't seen any new brand in quite some time, like a new designer label, make it beyond just a couple of years in the market. So there has been some very exciting product launch with like super brands and super luxury brands, part of big luxury groups and giants.
Right.
But yeah, for me, it would be nice to see Thalie grow this way, and perhaps one day join one of those luxury group. Who knows?
Absolutely. Is one of your goals also to expand your footprint into other markets like North America?
So at the moment, our strategy is to first focus on France, Italy, but because now we're connecting to marketplaces, so we have both like a wholesale and DTC model.
Mhm.
And with drop shipping model, that means like being connected to marketplaces like Immaculate Vegan, for example, in the UK, or L'Exception in Paris, or Vond in Germany. So we've been able to open quite a few points of sale online. And then as per physical point of sales, then we only started to propose our collection to wholesale for spring 22. And we have first buyers, key opinion leaders that are interested in helping us to launch the brand. So we have first buyers in the US, also in the UAE. Will be present on Bloomingdale's with Altair's group.
So if my listeners want to check out the Thalie collection, where should they go?
So we have our website, thalieparis.com, THALIE Paris, PARIS.com. Where you can actually visit. We have two VR spaces. One is the VR showroom where you can see the collection, and there's beautiful 3D design furniture by designer Fabrice Osset. And we also created, in collaboration with Atelier 7 Sven, they're London-based designer. We have this VR showroom with a virtual exposition of 16 black bags, either recycled or upcycled. And we wanted to explore androgyny in fashion with these black bags. So we collaborated with a French photographer named Frédéric Monceau, who's now having a momentum, I guess. He's just shot Dua Lipa, and
Oh, wow.
he's been really active with fashion circles. So we shot this campaign with him, and the influencer's name is Eden Meyer. So it's a guy that has this really beautiful face, and the pictures are full size in the VR space, so you can check around like the space and see also the outside of the store. So basically you could imagine having this type of expo in the future, maybe geolocalize and seeing your outside surrounding to be able to visit the space. We have quite a lot of plans in terms of innovation. So, and then of course we are working on the Sorga blockchain, where you'll be able to scan the QR code of our styles made in France, and you can get get the whole story of the bag, where it was made. There's any like interesting stories, like for example, just recently we did the Rome Film Festival. We had some Italian stars wear our bags, so you could see all the story of the bag and where they have been. And
Is that available now?
it will be available in a couple of weeks, yes.
It's a beautiful collection. Nathalie Dionne, founder of Thalie Paris, thank you so much for joining me on the show. Good luck with the company.
Thank you, Scott. Pleasure to be on your show.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Facing the Giants. Please tell a friend about the show. Now that you know this show, go check out my other podcast, The Luxury Item. It's a podcast on the business of luxury and the people and companies that are shaping the future of the industry. You can find The Luxury Item wherever you found this podcast. Facing the Giants is a production of Silvertone Consulting. I'll be back soon with another episode.